what else I was thinking about looking like? I'm not too sure if you guys have seen this. Maybe you haven't because your algorithm isn't as unhinged as my algorithm. But on my algorithm, this young lady from London, I think she's from London. Yeah, she must be from London. This young lady from London went viral the other day because she shared a picture of a bag of Coke that she bought. And she was about to start doing it. And she took a picture of the baggie in her hand. And I think she had like a little plate that she does her Coke on. The plate was weird too. She had one of those plates that was like, it was like I think it was a plate. You might get it in IKEA. It was like a weird marbly plate. It was like kind of, it had ridges. I was thinking that's a weird, a strange plate to like grind stuff on or to like make lines, because you'd imagine you'd kind of lose a bit of it in the fucking ridges. If anything, you'd want like a flat surface. I'd imagine, right? I don't know anything about that sort of stuff, but I'd imagine you'd want a really clean flat surface. But she had a little silver or some sort of mirrored circular disc thing with loads of humps on it. She had some lines on there, and then she had an Oyster card by the side. She took a picture of it, right? And for some reason, that picture that girl uploaded of her just about to do some lines went viral on my side of social media. People taking the piss out of the baggie because they said, oh, that looks like it's chopped. That looks like it's been bashed to shit. Like it's been mixed with all sorts of nonsense. It doesn't look like it's good quality. Talking about how she was cutting up her Coke with an Oyster card and that was somewhat poor or lame or not cool. Loads of comments, right? But the main comment I kind of saw, the persistent thing that I kind of saw from the comments of that girl uploading a picture of her Coke pre or during the sesh, was the amount of people it kind of turned off. The amount of people that were like, ew. The amount of people, especially girls, that were like, this is a major red flag. I could never date someone who did that. The amount of people just generally kind of like talking down. And I was thinking to myself, that doesn't make any sense, innit? Because I'd imagine that girl's post, because she's in the UK, geolocation wise, it probably went viral in the UK. And if you know anything about the UK, you would know that I think last time I checked, or last time I saw on the internet somewhere, the UK might have the highest usage of cocaine out of any country in Europe. I think so. I honestly think it might be and even though we're a small island, I legitimately think there was a statistic that said we have the most cocaine usage. I remember there was that one study ages ago, or like a report that said how somebody went to the Houses of Commons and they found like an extreme amount of like coke residue in like the House of Commons, like bathroom stalls, on the like, you know, on the little ledges that you kind of rest on. I think they also tested the cocaine levels of all our sewage water and found a lot of it in there as well. So basically in this country, people love to do blow. People love to do a bit of sniff. People love to do it. People love to go skiing. People love it. Like, you can't go out in a workplace. Like, I'm sure some of you guys have been in workplaces where people do it while they're working. People get on it after work. People do it while they go clubbing, while they're watching a game, while they're at home playing games. People are on it all the time. So I'm wondering, when I saw that girl's post and everyone kind of, you know, shaming her for being a bit of a cokehead and stuff, I was thinking to myself, like, are people just performative for the internet, do you think, on social media? Are people acting outraged and perturbed for the internet? Like, because you don't have to do any drugs, right? But I don't think anybody in the UK should be shocked if they saw no, I don't think anybody in the UK would be like shocked if they saw somebody shooting up, if they saw somebody smoking crack, if they saw somebody doing a bump. You don't have to do it, but because of the amount of people that do drugs in this country, and because of how, I don't know, because of the weird relationship we have with like booze here, people get very, like, I think most of our friends, I think even probably, we all had even a period of probably in our lives where we were like functioning alcoholics. So I remember when I was working in an office that was like a hip one, like, you know, the best example is probably when I worked at Depop. When I worked at Depop, I was like a customer service guy at Depop, handling all the fucking requests from, inquiries from people selling stuff on Depop, people buying stuff on Depop, refunds, all that malarkey, right? It was a good little community support team that we kind of worked with. It was a really good job, I'm not going to lie. There's different shifts too. There are 2 shifts. I think there's 3 shifts. There had a shift that started at 7, a shift that started at 9, and a shift that started at like 12 or something like that, right? So you can kind of cover all the hours. So when I worked at Depop, the office at Depop was in this location near Old Street. If you're from London, you know what I'm talking about. It's a location called Zetland House. And it's near Old Street. And Old Street area, if I'm not mistaken, around that time, that area was called like the Silicon Roundabout. It was kind of like our version of the Silicon Valley over there in the States, in San Francisco. So a lot of like startups are there. A lot of like cool companies, blah, 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 agencies, you know, whatever, all that sort of stuff. So there was a lot of like what I would deem to be like activations going on, events all the time in different studios. And there was also a very high concentration of some of the best pubs and like restaurants and like cocktail bars, really good in that Old Street, Shoreditch kind of location. If you know, you know. And when I was working at Depop, I saw in my life, that was the first time I got introduced to Tuesday and Wednesday after work drinks, which is the most toxic version of after work drinks. And that's the first time I'm naive, I don't know nothing. I'm out of the, I'm out of it. But that was the first time I got introduced to people getting on it or drinking after Tuesday. So you work Monday to Friday, sorry. In most workplaces, your after drinks, kind of going out with your friends after work, colleagues and stuff, usually starts on a Friday. Okay, it's been a long week. I want to unwind. Let's go to a bar, have a couple of drinks, share some laughs, and then boom, we say bye-bye to each other and then into the weekend. People were drinking hard from Tuesday. But to be fair to them, they didn't notice it was hard. I didn't notice it was hard at the time because you're just going with your colleagues. Someone says, yeah, you want a quick drink before you go home? Yeah, quick drink. I'm only going to have one, which is never one. You're probably going to have 2 or 3. But as you're having 2 or 3 on that Tuesday and Wednesday, all it takes is a couple minutes to warm up. And then somebody's asking, oh, who's got a packet? Who's going to get a packet? Who's going to get a baggie? Do you have a number? Do you want to chip in? It just immediately starts that cycle. So I reckon a bunch of people probably in this country, which is weird to say, probably don't even do drugs and alcohol because they want to. Just because they want to hang out with their friends. They don't want to go straight home. Like, I was like that too. I didn't want to just go straight from my house. No, I didn't want to go straight from work all the way home. I wanted to have like a little bit of a rest in between. So I wasn't just like into transport, then at home, then at, you know what I mean? I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be outside a little bit. So you go outside, you have some drink, and then suddenly here you are drinking from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. All that to say, I'm not too sure if people are like morally grandstanding on the internet when they're acting shocked by that girl's picture, or if maybe there is a silent majority of people out there who don't do anything. I don't believe that person because I think the UK is full of like functioning addicts across the board. But I was really shocked by the amount of people who were kind of put off by that girl's post. Almost freaked out about it because like, surely you can't be surprised. I was thinking to myself, surely they can't be surprised seeing somebody doing drugs. Surely not. Because in the UK, but you see people on the trains. I've seen somebody on the Central line. I've seen somebody on the Northern line. I've seen somebody on the Bakerloo line doing crack. The Bakerloo fucking line. Yes, I know it looks like a little bit of a, rusty train. But if you know anything about the underground trains, like they're not, you know what I mean? So full of different types of people coming from work. It's underground. It's a bit of a weird train. I've seen people shoot up on there. So people acting surprised or weirded out because they saw one girl doing a little bit of blow on the internet, on Twitter. I was like, I wonder what's going on out there. But then I also think maybe with this new Gen Z as well as coming up as well, they're known to be a little bit more sensible, innit? They're known to be a little bit more sensible. They're not as hoary as maybe millennials are and shit. They don't seem to get on it as much as millennials and shit. So maybe that influence is coming from the Gen Z kids who are a little bit more anti all of that sort of stuff, and they can kind of enjoy themselves without having any kind of adult vitamins or any kind of, liquid courage poured down the esophagus, which is quite admirable, to be fair. If you're from this country, it's quite admirable to be that person because most of the social gatherings that, that happen in the UK, especially in London, they revolve around booze or they revolve around drugs or a combination of both. So if you're a person, regardless of age, that's able to hang out, because I've done it before and I'm sure some of you guys have done it, but there's nothing worse than being the sober one in your social group of friends when they're out, because you can tell the difference of how they are when they drink and how they are when they do drugs. And that change is like, then you can't really talk to them because they're all strung out, they're getting high, they're getting touchy, they're repeating themselves 17 million times, they're shouting at your face, they're jumping into conversations, they're sweating profusely, their jaws are swinging, pupils, it gets annoying. But if you meet them before, when they're just drinking, it's fine. But then as soon as a couple of drinks go in, they start getting a little bit happy, suddenly, everything fucking changes. So it can get really fucking annoying really quickly. But I was honestly shocked by the amount of people who were acting all like tooty hooty about that girl's fucking usage and stuff. But I guess some people are different. Moving on. moving on.